trending hot topics to even hotter music videos, the best events, and the most interesting guests, of course.
It just pushed me.
So find all of that juiciness and more on Posh Spice, the show that brings you all of the most entertaining content from the entertaining world of entertainment.
That's lit, man!
So watch me bring sizzling hot content to you on Television Nigerian. You can watch us on our nice concert platforms, and if you are not a fan of television, watch us on our social media platforms and our web TV, of course.
Don't miss it. Seriously, don't miss it. My job literally depends on it.
Your body bang, 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 your body bang. Fire. And I give us when you take a selfie, when you take a pose, you the ginger the boy. Every time you bend the low, I'm okay when you take a selfie. When you take a photo, you the ginger the boy. Every time you bend it low.
Want to shoot a dope music video at 50% discount?
50% discount?
Yeah, 50% discount. Bougie down to Television Nigerian with world-class equipment and a badass expert crew.
Oh, God, face your camera now. Shh. Continue.
Where was I? Everything extra.
Carolina, you bada.
Hurry up.
I know say you know this thing you did do, my girl, say you know. Your body is big and I know say you know.
Cut a slice of the north central Nigeria with this raw mix of cultures, treasures, and amazing people. Based in the vibrant glory of the beauty of nature with striking landscapes. And that's the best from agriculture, commerce and entrepreneurship. Put in a mix of local
Good morning, Africa. Good morning, Nigeria. It's another informative episode of your number one breakfast show, Daybreak Africa, on television Nigerian, reaching you live from our Guzope Hilltop studios in Asokoro, the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. Good morning. It's nice to have you on the program. I have Mr. Quest here with me.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Africa. Thank God today is Friday, and you're welcome to Daybreak Africa.
Welcome to Daybreak Africa, your number one breakfast show, which gives you all of the information regarding politics, issues in the entertainment, fashion, and you name it, healthy living. We're here to help you kickstart the day. And speaking of issues in the polity, I couldn't help but notice yesterday the former president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, visited President Muhammadu Buhari at the State House, and a lot of eyebrows were raised. People were wondering what could be the reason for the visit. Until now, we don't really have details of the visit. So what do you think?
Just like you said, in politics, there are no permanent friends, there are no permanent enemies, just permanent interest. So if we're discussing national issues and we're dealing with national issues, one would expect ordinarily and naturally that the previous administration and this administration should have a cordial relationship, because, as it is said, government is a continuum. Government should be continued. So whatever the policies, whatever discussions, whatever relationship was built by the previous administration, I think it is healthy that the previous administration and this current administration have a relationship. You know, like Nigerians would always say, because they are from opposition parties, Nigerians expect them to be at loggerheads, but we're talking about Nigeria, the health, the strength, and the development of our country, Nigeria. Definitely. So I'm hopeful and trusting that whatever that meeting was about, it's about Nigeria first and foremost.
Most definitely. Yeah. And another issue that we couldn't help but notice is that the president has ordered that all forfeited assets should be sold. And proceeds from those sales should be remitted to the Treasury single account.
I'm super excited about the pronouncement. Now, I am also hopeful, like I said earlier, that the Nigerian state is put in the forefront of all these pronouncements, so that whatever it is, yes, people looted our funds, and we've in the past complained that when these funds are recovered, we don't hear anything about them again. But now the president is coming out to say that we should come and sell these assets, and proceeds from these assets should be put where it will be used for the good of Nigeria and Nigerians. So I'm glad this pronouncement is made now by the president. And I'm also hopeful that it will not just be a pronouncement, but an implementation of this pronouncement.
Okay, so Mr. Quest, you'd recall just yesterday, the federal government said 1 trillion naira was looted, and it's expected to be spent on social investment programs. I mean, isn't it alarming that up to 1 trillion naira was looted by public officials?
And I want to even say that 1 trillion naira, for me, I think is just a figure that the federal government or its agencies have put together. It is way more than that, because we've heard figures from individuals that are alarming. Individuals that looted this country dry. It's alarming. So to 1 trillion, I think is even a moderate figure. But for the government to say they want to put this figure into the social investment program, don't forget that not too long ago, Nigerians were saying the social investment program was on halt because it was no longer campaign and all that. So for the government now making more conscious effort towards I don't want to call it restarting, but continuing the social investment program with the funds that certain people wanted to use for their individual purse, on their individual interest, I think it's a welcome development.
Okay, so moving forward, let it not be Nigeria alone. So we're going to the global frontiers now, and today is the International Day of the Girl Child.
The Day of the Girl Child. Wow, definitely. It's okay. I wish you were sitting so that I'll give you a standing ovation. Today we're celebrating the girl child, all the issues surrounding the girl child, and it is interesting that issues with regards to discrimination, child marriage, are now put on the front burner for the world to know and pay attention to it, and also bring proper solutions.
Of course.
So I think it's a great thing that a day like this was set aside to celebrate,
by the United Nations,
to celebrate the girl child.
Okay, so we have loads and loads of other details on Daybreak Africa today, and I'm sure we can't have enough.
Yes, I'm excited already.
So Daybreak will be with you shortly. Do stay with us. This is the business news on Television Nigerian. I'm Chirendo Osisiago. Report by the advisory power team in the office of the Vice President shows that the Nigerian electricity supply industry lost a sum of 472.23 billion naira between January and September this year. The daily report of the power sector performance indicates that the industry loses between 1.5 billion naira and 2 billion naira every day. An analysis of randomly selected daily reports showed that the losses were caused by constraints such as insufficient gas supply, distribution problems, transmission hiccups, and water reserve issues. According to the report from January 2019 to 11:51 p.m. on September 10, the sector recorded a revenue loss of 472.23 billion naira, while a total of 3,236 megawatt hour per hour of energy were constrained during the period. The International Monetary Fund on Wednesday said that the economic outlook for Nigeria under the current policies of government remains challenging. This is contained in a statement issued after an IMF staff team led by the mission chief for Nigeria, Amini Martin, visited Lagos and Abuja from September 25 to October 7 to discuss recent economic and financial developments and review reform implementation. Martin said a slow economic recovery is continuing, inflation is falling, and external buffers are declining in the face of increased portfolio outflows. He said action on a coherent and coordinated set of policies is urgently needed to reduce vulnerabilities and increase growth over the medium term. The federal government on Wednesday blamed dissatisfaction with quality of services offered by public servants and public institutions on the rates at which citizens evade and default in tax payment. Secretary to the Government on the Federation, Boss Mustafa, said service delivery is the cornerstone to the overall success of the public institutions and justification for the employment of public servants in the country. The SGF stated this in its office while addressing representatives of agencies participating in the Enlightenment Campaign Roadshow organized by Servicecom to commemorate the 2019 Customer Service Week. Represented by the Permanent Secretary General Services Office, Olusegun Adekule, urged civil servants to live up to their responsibilities of providing quality services to the people, stressing that quality services remain for the cornerstone for speedy growth and development of the country. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria has urged the Central Bank of Nigeria to explore other options to achieve its cashless policy scheduled to be fully implemented from March 31, 2020. Man urged CBN to consider the use of carrots rather than the stick approach, noting that the implementation of the cashless policy on withdrawals may have a negative impact on micro, small, and medium enterprises who are the engine room for the economic growth and employment generation. The Apex Bank, in a circular, directed deposit money banks to charge on deposits in addition to existing charges on withdrawals, 3% processing fee for individual accounts, withdrawals in excess of 500,000 naira, and 5% for corporate accounts withdrawal in excess of 3 million naira. Man said though one might agree with the CBN governor that the policy is in the public interest to promote an efficient payment system via the cashless policy, there was the need to examine the route the bank chooses to achieve that objective. And that's much we have for you today on TBN Business Updates. I'm Chirende Osisiego. Thanks for watching.
Now we'll go straight to across Africa to get more information across the African continent.
Good morning, this is News Across Africa on your favorite program, Daybreak Africa. Ugandan-American Jessica Nabongo says she has completed her quest to become the first documented black woman to travel all countries in the world. She announced the feat on her Instagram account after she arrived in Seychelles. Nabongo decided to take on the goal of visiting 195 countries in the world in 2017. At that time, she had traveled to 60 countries. Born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, she also holds an American passport. Her parents moved to the United States from Uganda. Zimbabwe's power regulator has increased the average electricity price by 320%. The decision was taken to allow it to ramp up production and improve supplies amid daily power cuts. The electricity company says it needs more money to pay for things like diesel to power the generators. Zimbabwe is grappling with the worst economic crisis since the 2017 coup, which unseated President Robert Mugabe. The increase in electricity prices, the second in the past 3 months, has angered Zimbabweans who are already struggling with sharp increases in prices of fuel and basic goods. A foreign firm has launched electric motorbikes to operate as taxis in Rwanda. Safi said its fully charged e-motors can run for 45 minutes and cover a distance of 90 kilometers. Motorbikes are a common means of transportation in Rwanda cities. Some 20,000 operate in the capital, Kigali, alone. Niyonkuru Christel from Safi told journalists on Tuesday that the firm will install charging stations around the country, adding that the company intends to employ motorbike riders. In August, President Paul Kagame said at a youth meeting that electric motorbikes are coming soon to replace fuel motorcycles in the country and asked taxi operators to cooperate in the process. That's the much we have for you on this edition of News Across Africa. Daybreak Africa continues in a moment. I am Samuel Akpan.
If you're just joining in, this is Daybreak Africa. Today is the International Day of the Girl Child, marked on the 11th of October every year since it was declared in 2012. The aim of the observation is to create awareness for the support of more opportunities for girls and increase awareness of gender inequality faced by girls worldwide based on their gender, including areas such as access to education, nutrition, legal rights, medical care, and protection from discrimination, violence against women, and forced marriages. The celebration of the day also reflects the successful emergence of girls and young women as distinct cohort in the development of policies, programs, campaigns, and research. This year's theme, Agents for Change, Girls Take Up the Fight for a Better World, couldn't have come at a better time than now. And with me here in the studio, I have Mrs. Chika Ofo, who is Chief Oversight Officer, Vaccine Network for Disease Control. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Daybreak.
It's an honor to be here.
So, ma, today is the International Day of the Girl Child. For the sake of the viewers who are not aware of this day, as created by United Nations, we would like you to give us an insight to what this day is really about.
Yeah, the theme you told me, there's another theme I got, which is the kind of theme I like. It says girl child, girl force, unscripted, unstoppable.
Yeah,
that's who we are.
Yeah.
That's what they are. So and it says it all.
Yes,
the girl child has been chained for a long time, so she's breaking the chain, and she's saying, "I'm here. I have rights. I have rights to education. I have right to speak. I have rights to say who I will marry, when I will marry, if I will marry. I have rights to earn the same salary as a man. I have rights to be the president of this country if I choose to be. I have right to be a governor if I choose to be. I have right to go to school without talking about sex for grades." That is what it's all about. Rights.
Okay.
And now the power of the girl child, we've had scenarios where the girl child or women generally, when placed in leadership positions, have done exceptionally well, regardless of sex, and results have been produced both by the male child and the girl child, regardless of sex. Now, but the fact that emphasis is now paid on the girl child now brings to bear the fact that what was the origin of this discrimination in the first place? Why was there a discrimination to the point where there was now the need to come out and speak for the girl child?
Okay, as an African woman, our culture had a lot to play here. Because growing up, if you grow up in the village, for instance, you have no say. They choose your husband for you when you are supposed to marry. In the north, it's even worse. Child marriages.
Yes.
So those cultural influences, social influences like that. And then many children have died. Many girl children have died in the process. Can you imagine having a 13-year-old son? I can't even imagine him marrying anything. He can't even clean his room. They're still quarreling about cleaning his room. Then the same for a girl child. Yeah. She's also growing. She's a child, for crying out loud. But all those things were not taken into consideration. Our culture has a lot to play. And then the world generally, people ascribe physical strength to mental strength. Mental strength is not physical strength. The fact that the guy is big and strong, and so that means that the guy should continue to suppress, a woman can no longer talk. These are the kind of things that come out to play.
In Iran, recently in Iran, it was just recently, after 40 years, that the girl child or the woman was even allowed to watch, go into a stadium and watch a football.
Can you imagine?
And we've watched constantly and seen ladies represent their countries and do well. Now, for something as little as even going in to watch, just recently, the ban was lifted, and it took FIFA to fight and pursue that battle to where it is now. It brings to mind what you just said about our culture and our society.
Exactly.
But generally speaking, where is the gap? Because most times when we find people, including the way you are sounding, there's this emphasis on let's treat the girl child like this, treat the male child like this, but we forget to groom our children to be, first of all, children, regardless of being male or female.
Yes.
Then to be teenagers or adolescents, and then adults. But most times our society is bringing us where we're training the girl child to be a woman even as a child. How can this be curbed?
Training a girl child to be a woman, I don't understand what you mean by being a woman.
Like you said now, quoting child marriage, for instance.
Yes.
You are getting a 30-year-old girl, a child, for crying out loud, to think marriage. It's absurd if you ask me.
Like in some of the communities that we work in, what happens that when a man has a choice, he has little money and he has to send his children to school. He makes the choice of sending the boys instead of the girls, because the girls will marry. And they have this thing to say that because when a girl marries, her name changes to the husband's name, it means that she has no identity.
Yeah.
Which is wrong. Because at the end of the day, that same girl child you're talking about, when she eventually grows up and marries, still takes care of the home more than, takes care of her parents more than. So the kind of things that society holds on to as important is where the issues are. Like in some of the communities where we are also, the girl child, school is out of the question. Which school? There's even a child, a girl, Najatu. I brought up this girl, one of the communities. We used her for fashion for pneumonia to say that when a child is healthy, this is how good she looks. And then the father said she can't pay her school fees, that she's going to marry at 14. I said, don't worry, I will pay. Can we have a documentation to state that if I pay her school fees, she will not marry? I was trying to push it so that if she finishes SS3, she will be 18.
Yes.
So then she can now marry. Yeah. So we're saying, okay, we're going to put her in school till SS3 and I will pay. Then she can marry. The father said, okay, if that's the case. She was in JS1 at 14. And then I paid. And did that and was watching. Before I could say Jack Robinson, they gave me 1 year. Before I could say Jack Robinson, they just came and took her. They said she took her to Kano. I said, why? She's supposed to be in school and I paid. She's supposed to be in school. After another 1 year, they told me, hey, she just gave birth.
Oh, Lord.
So these are the kind of things. The father himself actually wanted the girl to go to school. But his own father wanted the girl to get married. And then it's those kind of things that affect us. The fear of our parents, the fear of what people will say, you don't want to offend, you know. And then your girl child is now the scapegoat, the one you use as a wager, you know. Egbe wager. Let me talk like worry people. Egbe wager. You know, it's wrong. The girl was crying bitterly. Auntie, I want to go to school. I want to go to school. I shed tears that day. But it's unfortunate. What can I do? I'm not the mother.
You're not.
I'm not anything. So the father felt. I have not spoken to the man till today. When I go to the community, I have no conversation with the man because I don't want to be violent. So I just walk away and ask the mother, how is she doing? But when I saw her, she didn't have any of those issues because she was about 15 by the time she got married. By the time she had the child. Okay, she got married at 14. By the time she was like 15 plus thereabouts. So is it right? Girl children are important. Girls matter.
Okay.
Girls matter.
Oh, that's a sad story right there.
Really
okay,
sad.
Still in line with the girl child, and speaking of issues surrounding the girl child.
Yeah.
Okay, we've just talked about child marriage.
Yeah.
And then another one which we have to look into is female genital mutilation. It's still existing.
Yeah.
So, okay, now you come from the Center for Vaccine Network and Disease Control.
Yeah.
So I'd like to know, there are lots of diseases attached to female genital mutilation. I'd like to know what's the way forward. What can we really do to curb this female genital mutilation, sexual harassment, child marriages, and all of the issues surrounding girl child?
Advocacy. You can't stop talking about it. You can't stop making noise. Like now, the girl child, we have International Day of the Girl Child. That's beautiful.
Yes.
You know, that's one step to say, you know what, we've had enough of you mistreating girls, them not having a voice. Now it's time for them to have a voice. In the same vein, when it comes to genital mutilation, that is the kind of voice that we need to raise. And then when we have children, we also should not mutilate their genital parts. You know, even think about what is the reason why you're mutilating her part. Because you feel that she's enjoying.
Some say it's culture.
It's culture. What is the origin? Religion. What is the origin of that culture? Okay, what does that particular thing do to the body?
Others say it's to uphold morality.
And to prevent promiscuity.
Promiscuity. Yes, because you don't want her to enjoy sex. Simple. Meanwhile, the men enjoy it. So they're the only ones that should be promiscuous. They're the only ones that should enjoy sex.
And they tend to forget that there are lots of diseases that come with
and then the diseases as well.
Yes.
And then can make the person infertile.
Yes.
And even till now, some states, because it's mostly around the eastern states that you have this genital mutilation.
Yes.
There's some states that will tell you they don't do genital mutilation, but there's some activity that they do when a child is born that it may not be as extreme as the normal genital mutilation, but it's also bad. You know, I don't even know how they come up with these things.
And at times, I think there's stigmatization. Like I read one report where a couple, just because the wife refused that genital mutilation, even as a wife, as an adult, not even at a tender age, as an adult, she and her husband are treated like outcasts. Like, it's really insane.
I think also it's high time society begins to not just make laws, like we're saying, implement, and there should be consequences.
Yeah, there should
if we're saying we're fighting or genital mutilation is stopped or should be stopped, then there should be consequences for people who still practice it.
Exactly.
People who still discriminate, people who refuse to practice it. And then sooner or later, people would understand that these things should be stopped and they would obey the law.
I mean, why do you want to mutilate somebody is what I can't understand till tomorrow.
God even created this thing for us to enjoy.
Exactly.
Both male and
female. Then you now decide to select the one that will enjoy it, and then the other one should not enjoy. It shows you the mindset of our culture. Yes. The culture is warped. It's warped because that shows you the mindset of the culture.
Soma, you're already sounding angry.
I'm angry.
What's your advice to people, especially on a day like this, where there has been set out to celebrate the girl child and create awareness on issues surrounding the girl child?
Okay, let me start. I went for an event yesterday on the girl child. There was an organization that did, about this girl issue, a 13-year-old girl that they got secondary schools, all girls secondary schools, about maybe 100 of them, thereabouts. And then they had this competition. And the competition was about what? They give you a scenario. A girl, 13 years old, they want to force her to marry. She's afraid and all that. Develop a solution using technology on how we can stop this. So the group of girls developed, solutions to this kind of thing. Very wonderful. They say use blogs, talk to parents, community development. Women should come aggregate, come together as a team, make noise, and say I have rights. Then girls should come out for competitions, come out for more competitions. People can see your efficiency, your effectiveness, how good you are, and all that, and your value. And then we should not always be at the back. When people want to say things about coming out for election, don't run to the back. Come out. You understand? Sometimes people don't know your potential until they see you trying to do things. I notice also some of the girls, all women and girls, they want to be at the back. They don't want to come out. So it's a two-way street. So that at the end of the day, the man can point and say, they say she should come out, she doesn't want to come out. People look for different kinds of excuses. So when we're saying that on one hand, the government there are many policies that talk about child's rights, So those policies should be extended to the girl child. The girl child is also a child. Then apart from those policies, implementation of those policies, then do not forget the chiefs. The chiefs, the people, the leaders in the communities, the gatekeepers of the communities. Those are the ones that the advocacy must reach first. Because once they are convinced, I'm telling you the truth, the village is convinced though. So you have to be strategic in our approach, not just to come to social media and talk about girl child. The person that is mutilating doesn't go to social media. Definitely. The person is in the village.
Yes.
So in that case, who are the gatekeepers in the village? Who are the women leaders? Those are the kind of people. They tie it to a political appointment. Tie it to say, okay, don't vote for this man if he doesn't talk about girl child issues. Women should come together and say, we will not vote for you because you did not discuss genital mutilation. And I'm from a Ebonyi state, and that is the state that people are talking about. I'm from a Enugu state, that is the state. So why should I vote for you?
Okay.
Those are the kind of things. We put it to them fearlessly. Because if you're afraid, and people know you're afraid, that is when they start to knock you. But when you show them, I will not vote for you because you did not do it, and you cannot get my vote.
Okay, that's a very strong one there. We'll take that as word on the street. Okay, so speaking of sexual harassment, we clamor for girl child education and then a lot of more involvement, let's say in politics and even other institutions. So we've noticed that there's been lots of cases of sexual harassment. There are children who are constantly being raped. There are a lot of pedophiles out there.
Of course.
Preying on little children.
Of course.
Girls, 9-year-old and all of that. And it didn't just stop there. Some have even transitioned into the higher institutions, like just the sex grade scandal that we just BBC documentary just released. So how do we curb this whole sexual harassment? Is it
very easy? punishment for crime.
Punishment for crime.
For crime.
Yes.
Because in one of my communities, a stepfather raped his 9-year-old stepdaughter. And then he had done it before. So you can imagine, like 4 years before that, he had done it. So she was 5. And then the mother caught him then, and people gathered around and said, oh, please, don't hide it. Forgive him. And then she forgave him. Now, that was about 2 months ago, he did it again. And the mother caught the man red-handed. Oh. It had gotten to the point where the girl herself was enjoying it. Oh. It was not a case of competing with the mother in the house. So you can imagine the mindset. Something has gone really.
That little girl.
So when we found out, what did we do? First of all, take to police station and then hospital. But guess what? The police, they frustrate you. I have never seen a more frustrating group of individuals on the face of this earth like the police. We took the child to the police. We had evidence of the sperm and all that. The guy did not deny it. He accepted that he did it. You know? And then the next thing, money for reports, paper, bring paper money, bring the report money, bring this one. They have to go and test the child in the hospital, bring the money to test the child. We spent nothing less than 20,000 doing up, down, do this, go to the hospital, this. I even went to a police hospital. The police hospital charged us to test a Nigerian. Hey!
Maybe we'll test a deal for the Nigerian police.
I cannot. They said they have to charge the case to court. That I should bring money for lawyer. I, the NGO that brought you an information, you're supposed to act on the information. Police is my friend, so they say. I should go and bring more money to hire a lawyer. Everything that was done at Sokoro Hospital, we paid. The transportation for the policeman, we paid. For the policewoman, we paid. Everything we paid. So now, what will happen if somebody reports a case of rape to the police and the person does not have the money to see it through? That case is dead on arrival. So what we have done now is that we had a meeting with 40 chiefs in the whole of Amak, 40 community leaders, and then we discussed all these issues, and then we came to conclusions, wrote an MOU which everybody signed. What they will do if such a case happened, how they will go to police station, how they will report the case, how the case must be charged to court, and all that. In one of our communities, in Basa Jiwa, they did it. The guy has been charged to court, and he lost the case, and then he's in prison for 6 years. But you can imagine the amount of money that was spent
to get to that point.
To get to that point. How many people can spend that amount? So that's the question. So the problem is there's no punishment for crime. If there's punishment for crime, if in that community, before somebody will rape again, they will think twice.
We really thank you, Ma, for coming. And the one thing we'll take home today is that advocacy. Yes.
And
we should also target.
And of course, empowering the girl.
Empowering the girl child. Give them psychosocial support. You know, visit schools, talk to them. There's nothing wrong with being a girl. Yeah. It's actually nice. You are wonderfully made.
Like
you can be anything you want to be. You know, even in the Bible, they said Adam was very lonely without the girl. You know, we make the difference.
God had to make a woman.
To make a woman.
Okay, I feel alone anyway. Thank you very much, Ma, for coming on Daybreak.
Yeah.
We're really glad for you. You come to lend your voice on the issue of the girl child. Yes, it was really nice having you.
It's an honor to be here to talk about the girl child. I was once a girl, you know. No, still a girl.
You're still a girl.
In spirit of girlhood, but still girls.
Okay. While I feel alone, I'm also a girl at heart. I have a mother and a sister.
Yes. He for she.
He for she, right?
Yes.
All right. That was a really, I don't want to call it activism, but she really sounded like she was speaking for the girl child and the girl child that she still is. Now, we'll be right back after this break.
In case you're just joining in, this has been Daybreak Africa, and we've had quite a lot of programs already, a lot of episodes that we talked about the girl child. But for now, we're moving on to our next segment, which is healthy living. And our angle here, we're talking about the benefits of eating unripe plantain. Business Daybreak Africa continues shortly.
Episode on healthy living on Television Nigerian, and today we'll be looking at the health benefits of eating unripe plantain. Why should you choose unripe plantain over a ripe one? Unripe plantain is one of the food we see around but neglected due to the fact that its health importance, apart from serving as food, has not been a common knowledge. Interestingly, many of us love to eat plantain, either fried or making chips out of it. They are often very delicious. Unripe plantain are often very beneficial to health than the ripe one. This might be surprising. People often ask how it benefits the body. Let's look at how it's beneficial. Plantain belongs to the family of banana, but plantain is lower in sugar content when we compare it to bananas. Unripe plantain have diverse health benefits. There are many reasons to eat unripe plantain than the ripe one. Let's look at the reasons. 1. An unripe plantain is lower in fats compared to the ripe one. It is preferable to eat unripe plantain as it reduces calories in the body. Secondly, another important reason to choose unripe plantain is its rich fiber nature. Fiber benefits the heart, the digestive system, as well as general body health. Thirdly, the type of protein that we find in unripe plantain is one that helps to repair the body tissues and muscles. Another good reason. Fourthly, vitamin A is found in an unripe plantain. Vitamin A is good for the immune system in the body. Fifthly, it prevents ulcer. For strong and healthy bones, consume plantain because of its rich nature in calcium. It boosts sexual performances. It improves vision. Furthermore, unripe plantain is also good for dental health and aids healthy gums. Unripe plantain is one of the super healthy foods you should include in your diets. Eat healthy food that will build your body and gives you stronger immune system. It helps you fight against diseases and infection from the body. You can boil plantain, fry it or make it into flour for pudding swallow. I leave you with this. Your diet is your bank account. Good food choices are good investments, says Bethany Frankel.
Welcome back. We're still on to Daybreak Africa on Television Nigeria. In our previous interview, we focused on talking about the challenges of the girl child. We talked about the issues surrounding the girl child as we mark the World International Day of the Girl Child. And now we still have another guest who will be discussing basically the achievements and the successes that have been made by the girl child. And so let's welcome to the studio Dr. Robinson. It's nice to have you on set, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Welcome on set.
Thank you. I am very humbled to be here. It's such a great opportunity to be here, sitting with two young people like me, smiling this morning. So thank you.
I'm already feeling. All right. Let me not. Run to the defense.
Child.
Let me not
it's
run to
girl
the defense.
Child day.
I support the girl child, so
Why are you
I'm
feeling
okay.
bad?
I was hoping that our next guest would be a guy, so that it would be 2 against 1, like it was.
No, it's the
earlier.
girl child.
But
so
you're here and you're representing all of us. Like,
Okay, yes, I am.
So,
I'm hoping to have a daughter very soon. Yeah. All right, so Doctor, now let's focus mainly on the successes, the success story of the girl child. We've talked so much about their challenges, discrimination, rape, abuse, child marriage, and all the challenges, all the issues surrounding the girl child. But talking about their successes, what have the girl child achieved in recent years?
Well, from my experience, from a lot of things that I've been exposed to in the in recent years, I have been opportuned to see other women or girls do as good as the boys. Some of the things that I'm in tune with is, for example, the COO of Facebook today is a woman. Well, she was a girl once, and she's a woman. That's Sheryl Sandberg. Here in Nigeria, we have Chimamanda Adichie to look to. We have these are women. Why? But why I'm pointing them out is they didn't just stumble on where they are today. It was a process.
Yes.
And while we are celebrating the girl child today, eventually we would become women, and being a girl is this process that brings out these great individuals. So we have people like I was listing, Cheryl, Chimamanda, you have people like Brené Brown. These are international people, but when you come back home, you see great women of God, like Mrs. Moore of what do you call it, of Koza. You see Moore, the TV show host, right? She owns Ebony TV, and you see so many great women. You see Awoshika, Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika of First Bank. So when you look at these women, I don't necessarily see violent women, because when you think about achieving women, you think, or as I'm told, you see this feminist structure, very hard, unmarried, don't have children. That's the perception that people want to give it. But when you see these women, you actually see them as very beautiful, as homely, as calm, as potential as any other person in the society. So I think this is what Girl Force Unstoppable Unstoppable. What's the second point? Yeah, so that's what this theme is about this year. So today, I think these are the achievements. I won't necessarily name the achievements, but just seeing them in those places of power and influence really gives you hope, gives you ambition, and it gives you a drive as a woman, as a young girl, to keep pushing forward and don't stop just because someone suggests. Because when you talk about customary laws, they're not really the social norms. They're not laws. They don't stop you. It's not something that says stop. It actually is a suggestion that a girl shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
But when you look to these people, you find that drive and you find that passion to keep going for what you want to go for.
Could it also be, when you were speaking, it brought to mind the fact that could it also be that in the previous years, we now have examples, just like you named.
Yes,
in the previous years, there were no people to look up to, because people behind had accepted what you call suggestions and were practicing them. And so there were no people for the girl child to look up to and say, okay, I want to be like her. But that is changing. Girls now have examples. Girls now have role models to look at. Yes, an example to look up to. Now, looking back. Okay, no, let's not look back. Let's look forward. Okay. Now, what is supposed to be in place for these girls to transit from the examples that we have now seen and no barriers, but moving forward?
Okay, that's a great question, because when you focus on the problem, sometimes you don't really see the solution. I think that's a great question. So when we talk about all the creating an enabling environment for a girl child or any child in question, we usually say the best word is, in a word, it will be the implementation, or rather the adoption, the implementation of the Child Rights Act itself in Nigeria. Well, that law is a very, well, in my own opinion, it's actually a very beautiful law. It's an easy law for our country. The Constitution itself even tells you that there is no need to discriminate against any individual. Yeah. So we have laws that are very beautifully designed and well spoken. And when this law is in place, I really think that that's one of the first steps of creating that enabling environment. While in some 11 states, of course, the Child Rights Act is still a very difficult conversation to have. But, you know, we are hoping that in the future, in the nearest future, that these things will be available. But for now, that's one place to start, creating very good or implementing
the laws, the good laws that we have,
existing laws.
You know, and when we talk about implementation, it's very interesting that we forget to say financially supporting the implementation of these laws, because when you have a very good law, one thing, or a plan like most people have, the thing is that we always forget to put the costed plan for anything. So having a costed plan that describes how these laws will be implemented at certain levels will be a very good plus to that, in creating that enabling space. So while we leave the law alone, we can talk about the child themselves. We can talk about the protection of this child, you know, because there are different angles to which we, the national standard for every child, we usually talk about the protection of that child. We think about the health of that child. We think about the education of that child. We think about the psychosocial support, like the last guest talked about. We can talk about their nutrition, hygiene, and their the sanitation of their environment. That's when you talk about clean water, access to clean water. And you can also talk about the household itself that they're living in. How economically stable is that household, enough to provide all those basic needs of the child. So these, I think if I mention them, so we have they're actually 6+1. Yeah. So you can name them. You can say health, protection, nutrition, sanitation, and hygiene. You have the psychosocial support. You have household economic strengthening. If I didn't say health or education, well, the list is that. I can't remember. I can remember, but I don't know if I mentioned that all. But these are some of the things that we can do to create that enabling environment for them. So laws around this, costed plans around this, and having the right individuals, qualified individuals that implement this particular strategies or policies and laws. Yes. And well, this is one way to go about I think. It. Well, the other ways.
I think so far, from what I can gather from all of this, I think there is hope for the girl child.
No, there is.
There is definitely hope, because there are lots of people who already serve as inspiration, people to look up to, people to just let you know, okay, the girl child, as much as the society tries to, some society try to put them down, they should know, okay, there are people out there who have achieved whatever the guy child or the male child rather has achieved. The girl child can also achieve that. Okay, so moving forward, okay, let's talk about empowering the girl child. Okay. Okay, you said, you talked about that society has to contribute to all of that, even from family, health institution, religious institution, and all of that. So how does this empowerment, how does it actually affect the growth of the girl child to result to that success that we talked about?
Okay. Now, to add to that, before you answer, right, people always talk about empowerment towards the area of giving her a skill, teaching her something to do, making her a better wife, and all that. But let's consider empowerment as a whole. Okay. Because a girl child who is economically viable but mentally unstable, psychologically unstable, would still pose a problem both to herself and to society. So, but let's talk about empowerment holistically.
In its whole sense.
Yes.
Okay, this is a deep question.
Yes.
If it's possible, maybe I'd share from maybe personal experience, because I'm not permitted to share stories I didn't ask for permission to share. When you talk about empowering, I'd like to still go back to the fact that you have to train up a child in a way that that child should go, because when that child is old, they don't know anything to do differently from that you have trained them to be. So it starts from parenting, good parenting usually. That is what empowerment is. If you want a child to do better, if you want a child to survive better than you have survived over the years, you as a parent has that great and grand opportunity. I won't call it responsibility, but an opportunity to invest in your child. So good parenting is one way for every child's empowerment. If we have parents that are ambitious to give their children as good in nutrition as they should get, because one thing we're seeing in our society is we have children, like you talked about, the mental instability in the future that could, like if you empower somebody with the skills and they don't have the mental capacity to deal with that, it spirals out of proportion. So what we're seeing is that children are not as nutritionally qualified. I'm using big words, but what I'm saying is children don't get the right nutrients at the right time to grow as healthy as they should, because what we're seeing is mothers are not even healthy enough, they're not eating good enough for their children. So you have children that are before their fifth birthday, we're losing children. Children are dying of malnutrition, something as simple as protein deficiency. And what is protein deficiency? I mean, it's just an egg, you can just give an egg, but then they say if you give a child an egg, that child might steal. There's that superstition still going on in some parts of the country. So you have, if you have parents that are, they have better skills as parents, because sometimes we just stumble into parenting and, one thing leads to another. You're a parent now, while in other times you plan. But the thing is, having quality parenting skills. So that's one other way, apart from empowering the child or treating something that has already happened. We can stop it before it happens. So if we have children that are nutritionally qualified, no hunger, zero hunger, like the SDG says. If you have parents that are economically competitive, a child it will not be a question of who do I send to school. It will be all of them can go to school, and all of them can go to good schools. So you would have things like, when my child is ill, I don't have to sell them to a man for marriage. Or when I'm ill, I don't have to sell my children to get money to go to the hospital. You would see a lot of these menaces coming down. So really, when we talk about empowerment, sometimes or most times we really like to focus on the household economic strengthening, because it's the 6+1 strategy, the +1 or 1+6, because when you do the household economic strengthening in every aspect, you're giving that parent the parental skills that they need. When they have this, you would see that children are becoming more empowered, even women are becoming more empowered. So it's a circle, it's a triangle, like we say in the child protection. There's the family aspect, there's the systems that you have, the protection system. So it's a triangle. I just learned this recently, so I can't really give you word for word, but there's a child protection triangle that's currently available. It's very beautiful, and it kind of gives you a picture of how things could be better, how systems can be strengthened better, so that every child has better survival rates and protection. Our society becomes more protective of its own. Because we are Nigerians, we deserve a better future. Every child, even the girl child, deserves to be unstoppable. Everybody, she can step into the light better when she knows that everybody supports her. Most girls don't get to speak up. From my personal experience, I was very, sometimes I could doubt myself. Most girls, I think it happens where you know that you're competent, but you just like, okay, let me not talk. Like I don't want to talk because they think that I'm yes. But when you have people that are eating better or are educated better, you'd see that these conversations are nothing. Yes. You know, you just be talking about it. Like it's not. Oh, she's a girl too. It doesn't really come to your mind anymore. Yeah. So okay.
Now, from what I get from your explanation is everything starts and boils down to family.
Yes.
You can go out and do more knowing the family is behind you.
Yes.
You can step out better knowing the family is behind you. Now, talking about these laws, it comes to mind the fact that. Like our guest before you said, that we should go to the communities, talk to traditional rulers, communities where the girl child is relegated to the background. We talk. I think there was a Supreme Court judgment that talked about girls can now inherit property, can inherit stuff, unlike before where these things were limited to the male child. And we have very heartbreaking scenarios where the man has enough, but because he's dying and leaving a girl, he wills everything to his younger brother or to his uncle somewhere. So we are glad that even governments, because of days like this that are creating awareness and calling attention to the issues surrounding the girl child, governments, even local or traditional institutions are coming out to say and bring out strong words regarding the issues surrounding the girl child. It was really interesting having you on Daybreak.
I've actually learned a lot.
Yes, I have too. I think I now know how to treat girls better. I've been trying though. All right, so it was really interesting having you, and it was really enlightening hearing the perspective which you brought. Thank you very much for being on Daybreak. Nice having you.
Nice having you. Okay, so that was actually an explosive one right there. Daybreak continues shortly after this break. Do stay with us.
Thank you.
All right.
This is still Daybreak Africa on television Nigerian. Up next is newspaper review with Mr. Victor Tehemba. Welcome back to Daybreak Africa. Just like I said, newspaper review is up next, and we have Mr. Victor Tehemba in the studio.
Okay, wait, please hold on. Introduce me.
We have Mr. Victor Tehemba with us.
You see, life is sweet. So I think now I have two people who know how to. Yes, properly. No more Etemba, no more Eteba, no more.
Okay, so moving on. Let us know what's on our dailies this
morning. What's on the dailies today?
Yeah, surprisingly, what I thought was going to make the headlines didn't make the headline because Busa 2019 is trending.
It's
and if you're wondering
if you're
wondering what Busa means, is
you have to go on
Buhari and Sadia. Alright, so there's been this rumor that has been spreading around that Buhari was going to take a second wife. So I was thinking I was going to see on the front page.
That's because it's unconfirmed.
Yeah, it's a rumor, a large rumor. But I think since they say it's going to happen at Central Mosque, I'm going to be there so that I don't.
The one that you appeared in your native attire today,
just to be sure.
Storming the mosque.
Yes, and a new shoe so that. Alright, let's go to the papers and. We begin today's review from the leadership, and it has a story. PNB orders sale of seized asset, promises to cut cost of governance, meets with Jonathan in Aso Villa. 1 trillion naira recovered loot spent on SIP. This is Professor Ese Sage speaking, and all of these stories you find it on page 4. And the picture story there is that of the president, Muhammadu Buhari, and the former president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, at the State House, all smiles, no animosity there. Moving on, below the picture story, border closure will help local rice production save 150 billion naira annually. Details of this on page 25. Campus scandals, Randy lecturers who have been named and shamed. Get the full names of those lecturers on page 5. Federal government revokes 1,500 mineral title licenses. This is on page 17. And just below the masthead, we have something on the Ministry of Transportation. Federal government and China signed $3.9 billion Abuja Itakpe Rail contracts. That is nice, and that is on page 18. Oil suppliers back plan VAT increase, and that is on page 12. And lastly, on the front page of the leadership paper, government kidnapped another 3 in Abuja, school principal in Kaduna. The kidnap business continues unabated, and that story is on page 40. And that's all on the front page of the leadership.
I'd like to pay attention to the screaming headline which says that PNB orders sales of seized assets.
Which we actually talked about earlier.
Now, I want to ask you, Mr. Tehemba, when we talk of seized assets, are we talking of assets that have gone to court, cases that have gone to court, and the people in question have been found guilty? Now, beyond that, do we also name and shame people who do these things? If we're talking of assets of people, who are these people? What assets were seized? What are the value of these assets? So that Nigerians know exactly what we're talking about. You cannot seize an asset.
I think you're talking more on transparency.
Yes, transparency. It's not just about making the orders and giving such executive orders, but transparency in the process with regards to these orders also.
Okay, so to your question, now these seized assets, most of them, they are people that we already know. We hear the stories, they make the headlines, how it is, and most of these assets are assets that the court has already ordered a permanent forfeiture to the federal government. And then in the case of the transparency in terms of, I think that's why we have the BPE, Bureau of this in Public, yes, and all of that, this thing. So we expected that it's going to be conducted in an open manner, that every Nigerian that is interested in those this thing can buy, but hopefully not that somebody comes out and say, I'm interested in buying this property, and then they begin to question you.
How did you get the money that you want to use in buying this property?
But then I think selling them and putting the money in a treasury account and used for other purposes, and I think it's good because before now, most properties seized are not being sold. They are being given to other government agencies to use. So you could find like the one seized from this in Alex Bade, the building in Abuja was from Alex Bade. It was given to Voice of Nigeria, VON, yes, and then other government parastatal office like that. When they need an office, they go to one of these houses that they
forfeited and
yes, and then they give it to them. So saying that they sell it, put the money in the treasury account, and use it for the benefit of all Nigerians, it's a wonderful move.
I also hope that the sale is transparent enough so that they're not selling to
reloot.
Okay, and the picture story right there, the former president Goodluck Ebele Jonathan and then the president now Buhari had a meeting at the State House yesterday. I think it's raising a lot of questions, especially as we've not been given the details of what this meeting is about. You're the newspaper guy, so.
But why are people really worried about what the details? Two ex-presidents who have sorry, I said two ex-presidents, two presidents, one president, one former met. Definitely, I think the discussions will be about the progress of Nigeria, unless the president actually wants the former vice president to become his best man.
All right, moving on to our next paper, the Blueprint. Our screaming headline says, "Our beam searchlight on governance costs." And then that's Buhari to anti-graft committees. And then we've achieved so much in corruption fight. Sage, the fight against corruption. Sage says so much has been achieved. And on the picture story, we still have former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan visiting President Muhammadu Buhari. Below the picture plate, we have Bayelsa Kogi Post. INEC boss asks electoral officers not to owe ad hoc staff. Details of that on page 5. We also have stories of federal government demands $62 billion from oil major. Federal government demands $62 billion from oil majors for past profit. Details on page 34. Ben Poli lecturer arraigned for raping minor Ochanya to death. This story was in the news some time back, and lecturer is now being arraigned. Yes. Details on page 14. Government adopts Kaduna College principal, like was stated earlier. Now, above the headline, the major headline, we have military veterans can do more for Nigeria. Details on page 6. So, Mr. Tehemba, over to you.
Okay, I think the one that my attention is drawn to is that Ochanya case.
Yes.
In light with the Girl Child Day, International Girl Child Day,
it's a good news.
Yeah, it is a good news for us.
Yes.
I mean, at least justice is finally being served, because this is what the whole Girl Child Day stands for. The issues surrounding girl child. How have we attended to this issue? How have we been able to find solutions? And I think the family of Ochanya would be glad to know that her offender is finally
brought to book. Something also caught my attention on the Blueprint, which says 608 Nigerians commit suicide annually. Statistics from World Health Organization.
Are you sure the president is going to accept that?
And yesterday we talked about World Mental Health Day.
Yes.
So you see, yesterday's theme was more on suicide, and now look at the figure.
So I think it is in the spirit of the mental health that this data was being released. But I ask again, is the presidency going to accept it? Coming from
regardless of the presidency accepting
regardless of this, 18,608 Nigerians annually, it's a huge number. It's like a huge number of people to die by that means in a particular year. But then you find out that the high rate of suicide increased to an unprecedented rate in Nigeria within the last few years, and then you wonder what are really the causes of this. There are several causes of what might lead somebody to suicide, but then we know that one of the major reasons is financial problems. People don't have money, people are poor, and then you are looking like there is no hope, money is not coming from it, so what are you going to do? Like, if I remember clearly, about 2 years ago, a businesswoman, a trader in Lagos, attempted to jump over the 3rd Mainland Bridge into the lagoon, and she was rescued. And now, what was her reason? Now, she looked like somebody who is well-to-do, but then the problem was that she's indebted to the tune of 10 million. She has other debt that she has not been able to settle. Her business is not moving, and then debtors are right on her neck. What is she going to do? Then she felt maybe the only way to escape from this debt that is just end her own life. And then sometimes the way we respond to suicide attempts, people who are rescued from committing suicide, the way we respond to them, I don't think it's also encouraging.
Especially on social media, you see people, let's say the pictures are circulating the net, maybe someone even posted a picture holding sniper, like, and with this horrible caption saying, I might take my life soon or something. Instead of people looking for solution, finding that person, stop it. No, you see people mocking the person, like, okay, just go now, we'll reduce, our number will reduce, and all of that. I think we need to change our attitude.
Yes, and I think it is that same attitude from with the citizen that has also translated into what the Nigerian police also do, the Nigerian authorities do. Because, for example, like this woman I was giving, when she was finally rescued, had all her problems, instead of taking her for counseling or psychological evaluation or any of those things, then they charged her, convicted her for attempting suicide, and then charged her to pay 500,000 naira. Additional debt. Now, somebody else also attempted, in fact, this person succeeded, the guy succeeded in jumping into the lagoon, but unlucky for him, or luckily for him, fishermen were around and they rescued him. And immediately he was brought up. See the way he was being dragged like a common criminal from the boat by these police officers to be taken to the station, and then that too will be charged to court for attempted suicide, will be convicted, and then be said pay 500. And then the guy problem was he's broke, he doesn't have any money on him. What is he doing in this life if he doesn't have anything? And then you not take him to prison and say unless he pay 500,000. If that guy had 5,000 naira in his pocket, he won't think of jumping into the lagoon. What he'll be thinking about is, how do I spend this 5,000 naira and enjoy?
How do I maximize it?
Yeah, exactly. That's how. So I think the way we also respond to this, handle these suicide cases, is also not encouraging.
Okay, so moving on to another paper this morning on the Nigerian pilot. Okay, the screaming headline here, printed in red: FG recovers 1 trillion naira loot. Says past administration lost 400 billion naira annually on fake fuel subsidy. Admits corruption still persists but low. Accuses 8th National Assembly of hindering anti-graft war. Will weed out remnant of corruption anywhere. That was President Muhammadu Buhari. And you can get full details of this on page 8 of the Nigerian pilot. And just below that, we have the 2020 budget. Senate doubts 8.155 trillion naira revenue target. You can find details of that on page 8 of the Nigerian pilot. And the picture story here is a smiling former president and a smiling President Muhammadu Buhari yesterday at the State House. And then just beneath that, we have CBN issues new regulations to strengthen payment system. You can find full details of that on page 39. Moving on, Ekiti to castrate rapists. That's a strong one right there. I think it's in line with the Girl Child Day. And graft war, CJN calls for petitions against corrupt judges. You can find full details of that on same page 5. And then 3,000 prisoners enroll for university education in National Open University of Nigeria. You can find details of that on page 5 as well. Khan blames Kaduna government over incessant kidnapping, banditry. That's a strong one there. And you can find details of that on page 5. And just beneath that, we have SAN warns Cross River governor over retrenchment of workers. Still details of that on page 5. And just right above the main story on the headline, the front page, we have Buhari Jonathan meets behind closed doors. Details of that, for those of you who want to know the details of the meeting, you can find that details on page 8 of the Nigerian pilot this morning. And the last story there on the front cover is 1 killed in another Abuja kidnap case, 3 others abducted. Wow, abduction, kidnap is still out there. You can find details of this on page 7. So speaking of this kidnap rate and everything, since Monday we've been reporting cases of kidnap. It's either a security official or
normal citizens,
or just an ordinary citizen.
I think it's a case of like these things have been going on, and when they find out that it's going on unabated, other groups feel like maybe it's a good way of so it become a venture. It has become a venture that people, because every day you hear people like Abuja doesn't used to have it that bad, but now it's like people are being kidnapped left, right, and center in Abuja. But maybe let me just quickly move on to the next paper, which is the Vanguard. Fake drugs inside Nigeria's market of death. Anybody is a pharmacist. Federal government lacks political will to check menace. This is from PSN. Treatment failures, fake drugs at alarming rate. This is from the NMA. Most substandard drugs imported. This is from MAN. And all of these, the details of this report, you find it complete on page 5. The picture study there, you find various pictures of various drugs like that. And in sports, how Nigeria's reject became Bahrain's pride. You find it on page 45. On the 24 billion naira pension scam, EFCC traces 29 houses worth 1 billion naira to Meina. That is on page 8. And above the masthead, government storm another Kaduna school, abduct principal. That is on page 8. Online media will be regulated, says Lai Mohammed. Online media will be regulated, says Lai Mohammed. That's on page 9. And Benue government arraigns lecturer for the rape of Ochanya Ogbanje, and that is on page 6. Jonathan keeps mum after meeting Buhari in Aso Rock. That is on page 9, and that's all on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper for today. Though there are a lot of stories in it.
I think we'll have to talk about this fake drug menace. What's happening?
Like, I don't know, people, you see, there's this practice we have in Nigeria, and then you begin to wonder what kind of people are we? What kind of people are we in Nigeria? People who are not, who maybe do not even pass through the secondary school complete years, they hawk drugs. Yeah. And then there are Nigerians who stop them to ask, do you have something for fever? And they say yes, and then they bring it out, and then you buy.
And another one I noticed is, you see a parent would say, okay, maybe I have a male child, and I'm like, maybe he's on break. I'm like, okay, just go and meet this pharmacist or this provider and learn how to sell drugs. Learn. How do you learn a profession in a drugstore? I don't understand.
And you see these people prescribing drugs for people who come and explain
and administering
injections too.
Yeah, so we really have a problem of fake drugs, and then people also, you enter public transport, and then people are advertising drugs that it does this, it does that, and then people are buying. Like,
and sometimes you have one capsule.
It also goes down to the issue of self-medication. Yes. Because if you actually take yourself to a doctor and then he prescribes a particular drug for you, you know you're definitely taking it to a pharmacy, maybe the pharmacy in that hospital. So you wouldn't naturally come across fake drugs in that hospital, because you expect that the drugs there are verified and everything. But when you give yourself this self-medication, okay, I'm not feeling, I have a headache, maybe I just go and get paracetamol or something, and then you go there, you don't even know whether they are giving you the real one or the fake one. So I think,
and then the fact that it also boils down to what Nigerians term as the economic strength and power. You talked about going to the hospital. Some people feel they cannot afford the hospital. Some people feel maybe it's too expensive to go through the process. So sometimes it's just like we say always, it's awareness on these things. How much? Because sometimes when you go and buy the fake drugs, you get to spend even more on treatment or whatever you get from those fake drugs than you would have if you had gone to the hospital to get treatment.
Apart from cost, you see the attitude of some of these government hospitals. Yes. Like, that's why some people prefer going to private hospitals, especially those who can afford it. You go.
Some will say because of their religion, such as Islamic religion. You think of how you are going to sponsor those children to higher level in life. So you have to put those things into consideration. That is the reason why I cannot go for a two-wife.
In our culture, we regard men. Most of the women, they don't. If you don't have a male child, you need to maybe marry to get a male child. But Bible made us to know that even though female child, they are the same equal with male. Some big men, they did what they like. Some, they have marriage problem.
Problem at times, maybe the first wife is not satisfying him. So he decided to get someone outside. Oh, he doesn't like the first wife, that's why.
It depends on your capacity. Like, gone are those days, our forefathers, they marry 4, they marry 5. More than that, some will marry 10. Because the way they have the way their capacity is. But like me, I cannot do that because of the situation of the country and the economy. According to religions, like God said, Muslim people, they can marry more than 5, they can marry more than 2. Maybe some people say, my wife cannot satisfy me more than the way I want. Something like that can still happen. That will make someone to go and marry 2 wives.
Some men marry like 2 or more women based on their capacity and the way they can take care of the women in future terms. Some follow maybe the footsteps of their own father based on the way they see things going. Some might be based on their own tradition or their own religion.
Well, sometimes we put it on a cultural belief and sometimes put it on a religious belief. Rama is religious belief. You know, I'm a Muslim man. And, you know, this thing is a custom in Islam. If you are able or if you are capable, if you know you can make justice, you can marry up to 4 wives. But if you know you can't make justice, you just stick to your one, you understand? So I think to my own religion perspective or to my own perspective, I think it's religion okay for me to marry 4 wives, not even 2. Let's take it outside religion and let me tell you why some people marry 2 wives. Because many people or many spouses have been complaining of such kind of issues. Me, I think if there's genuine love in between those spouses, I don't think there's reason to marry 2 wives. That is those people that are off their custom for them to marry 2 wives. But you know, like women, like they said, you know, eating one food every day, you know, doesn't make you lose stress. You know what I'm saying? Huh?
Maybe the second wife, you know, give the good answer. You marry the second wife. So wife, you give the positive. She will give the real negative. That's why the man marries the second wife.
Some people take it as if it's normal, but it's not. I don't believe it is. I feel like you have self-control. You get? So I feel it's just greed that actually leads men into marrying or getting more than 1 wife. But then again, it's different for religions too. I mean, like the Islam religion agrees that it's okay, but Christianity doesn't. So why do you actually put yourself through that? I mean, like, why would you want to suffer through 1 woman? As in, we are stressed enough as it is, that you now want to get another one again to add to your plate. People say it a lot. You want to eat okra soup, but you can't eat okra soup for the rest of your life. People say that, and I still don't believe it's true. You get? So I just believe it's greed. When men get too greedy and they are not satisfied enough, or they can't handle what they actually have and they just want more, that's when people just, you know, go overboard and get another one.
Welcome back. It's still Daybreak Africa, and we have Uchechi Elemoa, who will tell us more on what we have today on Fashion Book. So Uchechi, what are we talking about today?
Actually, we are going to be talking about what's in a woman's bag.
Oh.
You know, you as a man, Mr. Quays, I know that you have always wondered, you know.
I've once in a while peeped.
Oh, you've peeped?
I've peeped.
You know you don't go through a lady's
No, I peeped. I stole a peep.
Actually, you know, there is this bond between a woman and her bag that cannot be broken. But the question some guys out there do ask is, what actually is inside a woman's bag?
Okay, so let me ask you, what actually
is in your bag?
A woman's bag?
You know, a handbag serves as a fashion accessories, and again, women use it to put their personal items, you know, wherever they are going. And that's why whenever you see a woman, she is with her bag. It's very hard for you to see a woman without a bag.
A bag, yes.
You know,
at least a purse or something.
Just
you
something.
can't just see a woman going without something.
Okay. So if you want to know what is inside a woman bag, number one, you cannot. In fact, the first thing to expect in a woman's bag is her makeup. You're a woman, you know what I'm talking about.
I agree with you.
It's her makeup. You know, you at least red lipstick must be found inside a woman's bag.
Can we know what's in your bag? Where's your bag? I want to be seen.
Personally, in my bag you find charger. My charger is very important.
Welcome to Nigeria.
And then my powder, definitely my powder must be there, because sometimes after makeup when you start to sweat, you need your powder to dap your face, and most women are like that.
Okay.
So, and there are other things like tissue, a woman
for hygiene's sake.
And then hand sanitizer, and then pen in case you get what I'm saying. So it's quite interesting. Women are they are the most interesting creature God created.
Totally agree. I totally agree.
So it's all about fashion.
Okay, so now what is there, apart from the speculations that we have, what's the real reason why women are that attached to their bags? Is it because of the things that are inside? Because there's nothing superstition about all the things that you mentioned. So why the attachment?
Yeah, actually I told you that there is this bond, between a woman and her bag that cannot be broken. It has been there. Women have been carrying their bags, over the years.
I think men too should start carrying bags.
Of course, these days men are even carrying bag more than the women. Definitely, because but most of the times what you find in a man's bag is things like laptop.
Yeah, his laptop.
Contract document.
Really? So it's unlike the ladies where you see makeups, tissues, and sometimes you even see things that are not even, they don't need at that moment inside the bag.
They just put it there.
Yes. And then sometimes when a woman wants her bag to look beautiful, you are a woman, you know what I'm talking about.
You have to put a lot of stuff in there.
Thank you very much.
Because some bags, you have to put stuff before the beauty can actually come out.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. And when you see the woman, the bag feels so heavy, she doesn't care because she really wants the bag to look so
as long as you're admiring the bag, so no problem.
So for those who really want to know what's inside a woman's bag, I feel with this they'll be able to, they should stop worrying, because women are not daft. They are not daft. They know what they are doing. So like I said, it serves as a fashion accessory, and women use it to put their personal items,
and it's mostly what's handy. They put stuff that they need probably at that particular moment in there to make it very handy. Okay, maybe I want to go to the toilet, I just need my tissue, my hand sanitizer, and all of that. So don't wonder too much.
So guys, now we know what is actually in a woman's purse, so no need to wonder, no need to steal a pic. Thank you,
like you do every day.
Elemoa, for letting us know now what is in a woman's bag.
Okay, so Uchechi, thank you so much. At least I already know what's in my bag. You just told Quest what he should expect in a woman's bag. Okay,
definitely.
So, up next is entertainment segment, where we have Priscilla Ajeshala on standby. Do stay with us. Daybreak continues shortly.
Your body bang, 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 your body bang. Fire. And I give us when you take a selfie, when you take a pose, you the ginger the boy. Every time you bend the low, I'm okay when you take a selfie. When you take a photo, you the ginger the boy. Every time you bend it low.
Want to shoot a dope music video at 50% discount?
50% discount?
Yeah, 50% discount. Bougie Down to Television Nigeria with world-class equipment and a badass expert crew.
Oga, face your camera now. Shh. Continue.
Where was I? Everything extra.
Carolina, you bad.
Hurry up.
I know say you know this thing you did do, my girl, say you know. Your body is big and I know say you know.
This has been Daybreak Africa on television Nigerian. And just before that break, I did mention we have Priscilla Ajeshola on the entertainment segment. Priscilla, welcome on board.
Thank you.
So before you go on, Priscilla, what's in your handbag?
I can't tell you.
I already have an idea.
Secret.
I already have an idea.
What ideas are you having?
What is in our
and
handbag?
he wants to know what's in your handbag.
Really? Well, I really enjoyed the talk finding out what's in your man's handbag. Well, it's actually very interesting because different women on different days have different things in their handbag.
Yeah, definitely.
So yes, let's jump right into entertainment. So yes, today on social media we saw a video of some OAPs talking about Tiwa Savage, and they were not saying anything nice. They were actually gossiping and saying very nasty things about her. She posted it on her Instagram page and called out the OAPs. According to her, these are people that are supposed to be supporting women and stuff, but if you hear the things they said, you would be surprised. Like, those three OAPs are seated gossiping, calling her a fool, saying she cannot write
on a radio show.
I'm telling you, the fact is they actually thought nobody was recording. They thought like they were, somebody actually took their time to video them
and sent it to
Tiwa Savage. And Tiwa took the luxury of posting it on her Instagram.
Dragging them
exactly.
on social media.
Like, I don't get why somebody would, but people do that a lot. They just sit around and talk about celebrities.
And tomorrow we talk about women supporting women and all of that. Where is the support?
You should have seen these three ladies with all the passion insulting Tiwa Savage. I mean, it's really, really bad.
And then talking about the girl child, one would expect that to be the woman watching the woman's
the girl
back.
force.
The girl force, unstoppable.
It's
really heartbreaking.
Yeah,
it's really sad.
Fact is, there are a lot of things that a lot of people do that are just wrong, and I'm sure it's not the first time they've done that. It's probably the life they live. They do. It's just the first time somebody has covered it and put it online, and it's really, really sad. But Tiwa Savage, her thing. She even hashtagged the 2 seconds. That's like they are about to be dealt with.
I trust her fans to come for them. Those OAPs are done for.
I'm telling you, they're definitely
usually
coming for
Tiwa
them.
is always in the news, but this time she's the one putting herself in the news based on what somebody else did.
Exactly. A few days ago, it was her and that her raunchy photos.
Now she's giving us content.
I'm telling you, that's super cool. Yeah, Tiwa Savage always serving it, according to a friend of mine, hot. Well, let's move along. So to our very next story. So yesterday, October 10th, was Regina Daniel's birthday, and she wasted no time to post videos, pictures and stuff of her and her husband Ned Nwoko. In one of the videos he's seen giving her a flower. She also posted a picture of him and her looking very happy and said that he came into her life and brought a lot of joy and happiness and changed her life. So Regina Daniels and Ned Nwoko.
Now, one thing I noticed about that birthday yesterday was a lot of Nigerians on Twitter especially, they were a bit confused. Some people said she was turning 22, while others said 19. So that controversy kind of.
Well, according to a video I saw, her mom said she was turning 20. So who better to know
I don't even understand.
than her mom?
Okay, and you see,
like on Google, her date of birth is 2000, right?
Yeah.
So one would naturally assume she's turning 19. So the mom is saying 20 and other people are saying 22. So I don't understand.
Yeah, it's
I think I believe the mom. I believe the mom.
Okay.
She gave birth to her, so she should know better.
Okay, but yes, I'm not even about the age. I'm talking about the whole thing with Regina Daniels and Ned Nwoko. I watched a video of him giving her a flower, and I heard somebody in the background shouting "Papa." That's savage. Like, it's actually very, very interesting.
In the real sense, though,
right? I mean,
actually,
okay, I know we should probably leave Regina alone. She has paid her dues. I mean, she has done her thing. It has dragged on in
and I read on social media somebody saying a flower, really? Like, flower.
Yeah, but he has given. You know how many cars?
No, I know he has given her a lot,
And
but
then
people were so shocked
She
to see.
even appreciated
Yeah,
it. She said that was like the best gift.
Oh.
Because probably she knows other gifts are coming, but that one is the best.
Or maybe she feels like for him to think out of the box,
exactly.
out of his regular, yes, romantic.
Locking a flower and presenting.
Yes,
romantic.
Okay.
Yeah, but honestly, when I watched the video,
And the
the way
things
he
money
was
can't
touching
buy.
her head and stuff, it was cute, but I could not help. But remember that he's 59 and she's somewhere around 19 and 20.
22.
I'm 22.
22.
But let's move on to our very next story. So yes, before now, during the week, we heard that Sky B died, one of Nigeria's singer. But he has come out on Instagram to say he did not die, that he only had a little, sickness. And he actually died in a movie. And people now brought it on social media to say he has died, that he has not died. He was only rushed to the hospital, he had drip, and immediately he came out, he saw everybody saying he had died, that he's perfectly fine, and people should stop talking about his death. So even I was one of the people that reported his death.
Of course, I remember. You
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, I did.
But a lot of people on social media, I think I saw that, and
Yeah.
they were saying it was more of publicity stunts.
Yeah.
He had a new track coming out.
Yeah,
so he only said
he
that.
actually mentioned the
promote
new
that
track
track.
on his Instagram after he said he did not die. He was like, I have a new track coming out, blah blah blah.
I like my new song.
That was a skibby stunt. Remember
Yeah.
the
Skibby story.
Yeah, but still, I mean, come on.
But my question is, was he the one who came out? I mean, what was the reliable source that announced his death?
Well-
Because Nigerians just jump at these stories, and then suddenly they just
Well,
start
it was on Legit, it was on Pulse, it was on Like
You know, the thing with
everywhere.
The thing with death reports is something that you can just believe,
Yeah.
because you don't
You know,
expect
you-
anyone with a sane mind to just report, to just fake their own death or
Yes.
something.
Exactly.
So
All right, good for him. At least now we now know that
He's
Sky B is
alive.
still around, and so let's listen to his song, like he said.
Okay, let's listen to this song coming out. Oh, okay. Let's move on to our very next story, and that is our last story that is also an international story. So it's all things Kylie Jenner. So recently, Kylie Jenner went on social media, Instagram in particular, to show off her new car. It's a $3 million Bugatti Chiron. And then after she showed it off in a video, her fans came for her. According to them, a lot of people in the world are not eating. A lot of people are suffering, and people just keep buying cars. I mean, how many cars do you have to buy, and why do you have to keep showing it off? Why can't you do something with your money? So a lot of her fans came at her. She even had to delete the video from her page. Like, it was that bad. Yeah, but the car is something else.
as much as I agree with those people, but I think it's her money, her way, her life.
Yeah.
So she should spend it the way she wants to.
Yeah, somebody
Yes.
actually mentioned that today. It's her money.
I-
But honestly, I feel sometimes it's a little bit. It's actually quite interesting when you see all these celebrities. It's not like they don't do things; they actually do humanitarian things.
Some of
In
them
their
don't even
own-
want to shout it.
Exactly, in their own
And
way.
because they are not shouting, it seems
You
like
think
they're
they're
not doing anything.
Because it's those same fans that will come out when they're shouting, like, why are you showing
Yeah,
off?
well, yes, you're showing off. Why help
so
people
what do
and bring the
even
cameras?
They do their things, and then honestly, it's true. There's so many people suffering in the world. There's hunger, there's poverty, but it's not Kylie Jenner's responsibility.
Possibility, yes.
There's people
And
that is
probably
their
she's even doing her
responsibility, and
bit
they're not
if-
even
if-
doing it. Not
yes.
talk of somebody that has made her own money, and then. But I understand the fact that Kylie Jenner shows off a lot. She shows off a lot of things. So that she buys things she doesn't need. So people might be like, okay, since you don't know what to do with your money,
You
do
know when you
something,
have too much money,
Exactly.
spending it is
It's
always
her
a
money.
problem.
But it's her
problem.
money, right? She
It's her
didn't.
money.
Let's assume she didn't steal it and she didn't get it illegally.
Yeah,
so
she
it's her
worked
money,
for it,
yes.
so it's
So
her money.
she chooses what she does with her money.
But since it's her fans reaction,
She should do
now,
something.
and she actually took
It's
down
her
that
own
video,
fans.
so-
Her fans are always praise her. Oh, Kylie, and then Kylie can show off. See her birthday. Do you know how much money she spent?
Girl,
going
she's a
on
billionaire.
Yeah, and everything.
At
but
her
yeah,
age,
at her age, there's that too. Me
Yeah.
and her were like the same age.
So,
she's like.
I don't
she
get
can
you. You're
buy-
comparing
She
yourself
can
with
buy
her or something.
my village, my street, and the town I live in.
so help you.
Well, that's about it for entertainment news. If you want more details on entertaining stories that are currently trending, watch Push Pies Entertainment News on Television Nigeria.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You pay for that advert, right?
No, it's a Television Nigerian show.
But you're advertising it on another person.
on Daybreak.
But it is also a Television Nigerian show.
Okay, thank you so much, Priscilla Ajeshola, giving us details and stories on the entertainment front. So moving on, up next is Street Kitchen. Daybreak continues after.
Welcome to Street Booker, and I'm Zuwaira Hamza. Today we are on the street of Asokobo to find out how local restaurants on the street make their food. And guess what? Today we'll be watching how pounded yam is being made in the local way. Don't go anywhere, stay with us. We're going to be watching how the yam is going to be pounded into the pounded yam that we all know. We can see how she's pounding it gradually, and breaking them into different pieces before it's made into the whole pounded yam, in which one will swallow at the end of the day. What is your name?
My name is David.
So why do you like this place?
Okay. First of all, I like this place because she's the one who give me the best of what I want. Anything from food, she give me what I want. Her meal is the best so far. It's very delicious, you know. Yeah, because it's making me happy. Whenever I'm meeting her meal, I feel so happy. That is why you see me here every day. So her meal is very delicious. I love it.
Boss, this food they enter.
Don't be only enter. They go down where?
As long as they feel how you know they chop the pounded yam, they swallow them. What's your name?
My name is Ade, and this is my personal local diet.
Why do you like eating on the restaurants on the street?
Because it gives me affordable food and delicious.
How long have you been frequent in this place?
Oh, I eat pounded yam at least once in a day.
Once in a day, every day. And what soup do you think is the best that goes down with this pounded yam?
Well, it depends on the personality, on who is involved.
Okay.
For me, this is bitter leaf soup I'm having today.
Okay.
But I like pounded yam to always go with vegetable and a little of egusi. I think that's the best. But some people like it with okra, some people like it with the Yoruba ewedu and all of that. But for today, this is vegetable and this is bitter leaf that I'm doing today.
Madam, what about you? Egusi is your favorite. Why egusi?
It goes to pounded yam more.
It goes to pounded yam. And I can see you're enjoying it. Thank you very much. What's your name?
My name is Dorcas.
Dorcas who?
Dorcas Ahineka.
Okay, now, you cook on the street. You have a restaurant on the street.
Yeah.
How do people actually come very well?
Of course.
So why pounded yam? Because I notice people come here because of pounded yam. Why do you think they are coming here because of pounded yam?
Because I'm in love with pounded yam. I am from Benue State. So from Benue State, we love pounded yam, and other people love pounded yam too.
How do you get this yam? Because yam is expensive now in Abuja.
I go to Benue to get my yams.
Apart from Benue, you don't buy around here?
I go to bush market to get the yams.
Okay. So what about the soup?
I have egusi, vegetable, bitter leaf, bene seed, okra, and some other ones.
But which are the favorites that goes with pounded yam very well? That when people are eating, I saw some customers, the way they were just eating the food, they are not even looking.
They prefer the egusi and okra and vegetable.
Okay. But how do you get your resources, like on the streets? Do people actually come? Are you making your money?
Yes, I'm making my money because I prepared it well.
Because you prepared it well.
Wow, street kitchen right there.
Interesting. The meal was, I'm salivating.
Actually, I actually want to go get me some pounded yam. Did you see that pounded yam?
For this early morning, pounded yam.
I don't mind.
I shall repent.
Okay, we've actually had
an
a wonderful time on
yes,
Daybreak Africa.
From the girl child, the celebration of the day of the girl child, to all the interesting stories in the papers
and the amazing guests we had on the program.
Yes, and then now we're closing with food. I wish we started with food.
No, we have to close with food. That means we have to get
go
to
and
the
get food.
Yeah.
Our producer has to take note.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on Daybreak Africa, and we do hope to come your way next week on Monday. Do have a blessed weekend. I am Aisha Salihu.
You can also follow us on all our social media platforms as displayed on the screen, so that you can get to watch other stories. Priscilla was also here advertising her program Posh Spice. So for entertainment gist and more, you can also watch Priscilla on all our social media platforms. See you again next week. Tomorrow? Sorry. See you again next week, bright and early, for Daybreak Africa on Television Nigeria. Have a beautiful weekend.